Hello everyone, this is Rob Mazak. I am a psychic medium and I am going to leave off the initial trailer talking about business or my business. So I wanted to talk about a topic tonight that is a little tough to talk about, but I think it is important. I like to start my day when I get up and find a message for the day. Sometimes I find that by listening to that inner voice. Sometimes I find that by listening to the inner voice that tells me where to go look. But regardless, I like to find something to start my day. And my drive to work is about half an hour or more, depending on traffic, both ways. So I do have plenty of time to reflect. This morning, I woke up at 2 to 2:30 this morning and could not go back to sleep. So I spent a lot of time reflecting, but when I finally actually got up out of the bed, I don't know, around 4 o'clock this morning, something like that, maybe earlier, I heard the voice, the sound of my guides or my guide talking to me, giving me a message. And the message was really interesting, but very nonchalant, or it wasn't a lot of information, very non-specific. It was being repeated over and over. It is time. It is time. And I didn't quite know what that meant. Obviously, it is time can mean a lot of things. So I really wasn't sure. But I was called to pop open my computer and decide to start looking at things that might pop up on my YouTube feed or in TikTok or whatever, just to see what struck me as what this message might mean to me. And I opened up YouTube. So this is kind of a twofold thing. I opened up YouTube, and the very first video I saw was, "It is time to get serious." That was the topic of it. So that could also mean a lot of things. And but it does kind of speak to me that as much as I talk about things and where we want to go and how we should have goals and we should have purpose in our life and do things more on purpose without letting life live us and start living life, we all have those times in our life where we know we're not being 100% productive. 100% productive is actually hard to achieve, honestly. But I think that working towards that goal of being 100% is important. And it can be a struggle. Life can really push you into very hard and dark and deep mental thoughts and corners, and almost like push you into darkness sometimes. And I don't struggle with that a lot, but there are days when it's like you wonder if living life, just going to work every day, coming home, doing it again tomorrow, is really why we're here. And I know it's necessary. We all know it's necessary that you have to work. Or you don't eat, you don't have a house, you don't have cars. That is very true. And I get that. We got to live in this world. But figuring out how to be not part of this world entirely and to really connect with that outside of you is the struggle sometimes. And as if you've heard me talk on any of these podcasts, you'll know that I do a lot of meditation, I do a lot of connection, I get a lot of messages. So it's not like I don't get guidance, but being human, sometimes it is very much a struggle. And I know some people out there are really, really struggling with life, and it really pushes people to limits where they consider taking the exit out of this life. The hard word is suicide, of course. I say that because the next message that I really keyed in on and just pinged me to no end was a message by a young lady from the United Kingdom. I don't know if her name was on the TikTok channel. I will put a link to it in the description. So I don't want to take credit for a couple of the lines that I want to put in there. It's not mine. But some of the things she talked in there about were very striking. And I've never really struggled with the idea or had any grand ideas of taking that exit. I know people personally and throughout my life that have really thought about that. And some I know have actually taken that exit. And it really makes you wonder. It really pushes the boundaries of moral ethics in a lot of ways for me and probably others. Why and how somebody could do that, or how they could even think that that is a good idea. I know my father thought about that basically his whole life. He seemed to be afflicted by things that he considered to be dark or not godly all of his life. Demonic, if you'd like to say that. You know, it was very much a big struggle for him. And the only reason he told me he never actually did it, actually took that step, was because he was raised in a religious sect or idea or philosophy that taught that if you commit suicide, you go to hell. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I personally, with all the stuff I do with past life regressions, hypnosis, and meditation journeys and all that, I don't believe that's true. But that's just me. And I can't say that what happens if somebody does that would actually take you to any place called hell or anything like that. I don't know. But there must be some kind of personal hell that people are going through in this life that would make any idea of the possibility of going to a hell no different than being here. And it seems like a very hard stretch for me to even imagine trying to take that step. And so I'm only speaking from a more of a philosophical idea about this, because I talked to lots of people about it, and some of those people that have actually gone on and taken that exit, and it still perplexes me to no great end. I guess it's hard for me to imagine that also, because we're all going to die anyway. Nobody is going to get out of this alive. We're going to reach that point someday, and all of us know it's coming. Sometimes we do things to help us forget that it's coming, and hopefully that it'll just go away. But it's not going to. It's going to happen one day. So it's hard for me to imagine that someone would take an early exit when that's what's going to happen eventually anyway. By some grand design, in my opinion. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Doesn't matter how many seat belts you have on, how many airbags you have in your car, or whatever protection you have. When it is your time to exit this life, I believe it's going to happen. But once again, I think we all have ideas of what it would be like to leave this earth or this reality early, to check out early. We don't always do it directly or overtly like some people do or think about. And I can tell you, throughout my life, I've had many thoughts where I would say, get on my motorcycle and drive 100 miles an hour or better, and just really pissed off about life, and things were not good, and it just wasn't going the way I thought it should. Almost like saying, well, if I'm going to go, let's leave it to chance. And it's almost like you're not doing it directly, but indirectly. I think people do that in many ways. Another example might be that everybody pretty much knows that if you smoke cigarettes a lot, that there's a very high probability you're going to get cancer, you're going to get a lot of different problems from smoking, and it's likely to cause that early exit in life. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but by and large, doing that generally puts your health at risk and gives you a much higher chance of dying earlier. People know that alcohol will eventually harden your liver, what's called cirrhosis. It can cause a lot of damage to your body, yet people do it. They continue to do it, and it's almost like those things are a very subtle and subconscious or unconscious form of suicide or checking out early. Yeah, so I think there's many classifications of ideology and intention. Some of it is very much in the conscious mind. Some of it is not. But I don't know why it's so difficult for some people to find life to be absolutely glorious and interesting. Yes, it's always going to be struggles. It's always going to have hard times. We are meant to grow in some way, and we must have struggles to do that, in my opinion. But some people's lives just seem to be completely turned upside down, and it's just horrible. And it's almost like finding, any way to stop the pain. And sometimes that early exit is the best way in their mind to do that. I don't know that I could ever find myself at that point. Well, everybody's human. I think it's possible that all of us could. But for me, it's a real hard and far stretch for me. Because as much as I know about the wonders of this human body that we have, the miles and miles of nerves and all the cells and you name it, I could give you statistics and numbers that would boggle your mind. The fact that just to be alive is an astronomical set of odds, 400 trillion to 1. You've heard me say that many times. So most people that could be born will never be born. And we have the gift of being alive. Even if that gift feels like something you would rather re-gift or give back. I get that and I understand it. But one of the things this young lady said in the last couple lines of her discussion or poem about suicide, she didn't say suicide, but it was about failing at the dying process. Even though you're failing at living, a lot of people that try to commit suicide don't succeed. And so then they fail again. I mean, I just can't imagine finding myself or anybody finding themselves in that spot. But she said something at the end. I will have to read that to you. I don't read a lot of things, but I want to read you the last couple of lines of this. Once again, I will give credit to her and her poem. I'll put that link to the TikTok video in my comments so that you can see who actually came up with this. So she finishes up this short poem with, "You will wonder quietly how you ever believed the end was the best you could achieve. I'm sorry dying didn't work out for you, but honestly, one day you will see that failure is sometimes the best thing you can be." And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. Because what is the process of becoming a better human being? What is the process of improving? It is stepping out, taking chances, and knowing that you're going to fail. Actually, in many ways, you should look forward to that, because if you're failing, you're trying, and you are moving forward. Striving for perfection will never bring perfection. But striving for perfection, reaching that goal that's almost unachievable, will cause you to push yourself and fail and fail and fail until you become a much better version of yourself. You go to the gym to build muscle. How do you build muscle? You push your muscles to failure. This is where the repair process starts, and the rebuilding starts, and the growth starts. And I think that's the same in life. And I think a lot of people either don't understand that, or they're going through so much pain that anything that seems achievable or might be possible seems absolutely impossible. And no matter what they do, whatever they've tried, doesn't ever seem to work. And it seems like they're always in pain. And I think it's mostly mental pain I'm talking about, or mental anguish. I know that there's people that will probably take an early exit because of very severe illnesses or pain that won't ever quit, just trying to turn it off. But I think more and by and large, if you look at the statistics of folks that take the early exit, you'll find that they've mentally struggled most of their life before that happens. And I believe, in my experience, in my opinion, working with people as long as I have, that physical pain seems to be much easier to handle than the mental anguish is. Because the things that people go through in their early life or go through in their lives that just torment them, it's like it's so hard to heal and so hard to unravel that in our programming, in our subconscious. And we find that it just never goes away. It's like that invisible monster that if you could just simply figure out how to get your hands and your arms wrapped around that monster, you would clearly do something about it, or figure out how to get that monster out of your mind. But can you imagine being tormented in your own mind, between your own ears, for years and years and years, and probably all your life or most of your life? And that could be from a traumatic event. It could be from many traumatic events. It could be simply just your thought patterns are out of whack or out of alignment. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons for that. We could go into all that, but that's kind of a different topic. But I want to talk about those out there that are struggling. And I know you're out there. There's lots and lots of them. I know in the military, there's a lot of people, a lot of soldiers, airmen, Coast Guard, Marines, Navy people that commit suicide on a daily basis. I mean, the numbers are staggering. And a lot of that happens from PTSD, from combat or deployments or just military life. Even though there's a lot of help out there and it's more acceptable in the military, for example, it still is very difficult for some people to achieve peace. And it's like sometimes it's just nothing that is tried or that they've tried seems to turn off that energy. It doesn't chase away that monster. And I guess I could understand that in a lot of ways, if you look at it that way, that there are those out there that just simply cannot stand the torment that's happening between their two ears any longer. The most obvious way to do that, in many cases, is to just simply end it all. I get that. In a lot of ways, my human side of me wants to feel like they're being selfish in a lot of ways, because anybody that leaves this planet, whether it's by accident or on purpose, you greatly affect those that you had in your life. Especially when it's something that is like what we're talking about, or somebody does something on purpose. It can really affect your loved ones and those that were in your life. It really pushes a lot of issues onto other people that you have been engaged with. I'm not saying that that's true. These are thoughts that have popped through my mind in the past, and I'm just being honest about how I feel. We all feel things, and we don't understand why we feel them. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we had a soldier that we found out that was the way she checked out. And, I don't know if there's 100% proof in that, but that's what the report says. I can tell you it affected many, many people greatly, and it's been a real struggle for a lot of people that really knew her. I mean, I knew of her and I interacted with her here and there, but I wasn't really close. So for me, it wasn't as big of a deal. But still, you really, really wonder, or at least I do, how somebody could ever reach that point, that they couldn't figure out a way to get through that or hang on just a little bit longer. Because I know, as I look at people that I know that I've begun to work with years ago and look at them now, sometimes all it takes is a little bit of conversation with somebody, a little bit of a button push or a start or a push in the right direction, and off they go. And I tell you, it just seems like either these folks that do take this early checkout didn't find the right person, didn't want to accept the right person, didn't want to accept help, or that the help that they were getting was wrong or not right for them, rather. I don't know. But I know that talking with people and hearing their pain and hearing their story and not aligning with them or associating with it, but giving them somebody to talk to talk this out, to help them at least maybe understand that there's still opportunities, there's still chances, there's still things they can do, and there's people that they can affect and people that they can help. Even if you can help somebody get past this hump and they can become a solid individual again. I guess that's a strange way to put that, but I think you know what I mean there, is that they can become more balanced and they can be a little more level and they can accept life and get on with challenges instead of thinking about checking out early. Can you imagine the stories they have and the people they could help? So helping one can help so many. And I encourage everybody out there that if you find somebody in your life that is struggling, or they start to show signs of possibly going down this route, that you don't just turn away and look the other direction. Take a moment, even if it's a little bit of your time. One word, one phrase, one idea, one conversation can really change somebody's life, even if they're not thinking about this. And this is just normal, everyday people skills and helping people, because everybody's struggling with something. Not everybody's at that point. I am obviously mostly talking about those people that do reach those points or reach those ideas or really put those ideas into motion. There are a lot of people that do struggle greatly in this life. Even though they may not put the plans together, they probably have the ideas. And even if they don't have the ideas of checking out early, there's a lot of things that they can do to punish themselves or hurt themselves or give themselves distractions that are horrible for their health or bad for their body or bad for their mental state. We all need to prop each other up. We all need to help each other. We all need to understand that we're all going through things. Everybody handles it different. Everybody goes through things with different attitudes and different conditioning from the way they grew up. And not everybody's going to be able to get through the muck and the mud as easy as others, perhaps. But that's okay. We're all human and we all should struggle in our own way. But the thing is, if you help others, even if you are in the most pain you can imagine, you will probably find that helping others will always help you. Even if you don't feel like you have anything to give, if you give to help others, you will always find help within that process. I work with clients all the time, and I can tell you, and you've heard me say this on a lot of podcasts, I learn as much from my clients and the people that I work with than I ever have from myself or my own experiences. And so we all do take things from each other, learn from each other, hear the phrases or the words at the right time, whatever that looks like. And I think we all need to take that moment. I'm not asking everybody out here that's listening to spend their whole day with somebody or completely change their life to help somebody. What I'm saying is, it sometimes is just the little things. Sometimes it's just helping people with direction, helping them get the assistance, finding ways to help them link up with professionals, or just have a kind word for them. Give them some encouragement. And just the other day I was doing a reading for a gal at a fair, and I remember telling her, she was struggling with something, I forget what it was, but I remember telling her the same thing I'm telling you here, is that she is absolutely unique, and there'll be nobody here like her. She's the most special person on the planet, because nobody will ever walk this planet that's exactly like her. And her chances of being here are astronomical. And you could just see her eyes light up. And all I was doing was giving her facts about science. I was telling her how unique she was, and that was not anything based on emotion or ideas. That's from the scientific community. And sometimes all it takes is just a few minutes. And I think everybody should take those few minutes and do the same type of things. Help somebody up. And when you help people, you will help yourself. You will learn things. You will become a much better person. Remember, what you put out comes back around. And if you help somebody else, somebody will also come along and help you someday. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next week. But it will happen, because the universe understands that it's a mirror effect. And so you can look at it that way if you like. Don't do those things necessarily to expect return. But just know in your heart that when you help somebody, it's likely to return to you, just as if you were putting that energy into a mirror. It's going to come back, right? I thank you guys for listening about this. It is a very important topic, and it is something that a lot of people steer away from. You bring up the topic of suicide, and people turn a deaf ear, a blind eye to it, because it doesn't affect them. Well, one day it might. Them directly or indirectly from somebody they know. So I don't think that turning away from people is the right idea. Like I said, you don't have to give up your whole life to help somebody. Drop everything in life and just focus on them 100% all day long. No, I'm not saying that. But you can find time. The little things matter. Everything matters. So let's get out there and pay attention. Pick up on the signs. Give people kind words. Help people up. Give them nice little nuggets of hope throughout the day. Even if they're not struggling, you never know what's going on inside. Some people are really good at masking it. So even if you don't think they're struggling, they probably are. Because even though I feel like I have become a much better person through my journey, I still struggle. I'm not behind this mic because I am perfect and that I don't have things that I deal with. I do, absolutely. And I think that's important to admit that. And I think everybody should admit that. And if you need the help, seek it out. Don't be shy. Find somebody to talk to and give it the old college try at least. Please do that. Don't just check out early because you think that's the answer. Give it a chance. Give it a try. Because you are alive and you may never be alive again. I do believe we have other lives. But if we don't, why are you going to waste your astronomical odds on checking out early? Live your life. See where it takes you, because everything you're going through in life, it comes to pass. It does not come to stay. Anyway, I shall digress, and I will end this podcast. But if you do need somebody to talk to, whether you want to be a client or simply just want to text or email or talk, I will listen and I will help you as much as I can with the experience I have. Go to my website, lifebymazak.com, lifebymazak.com. You can find my contact information there. It's not hard to do. Reach out. Even if I'm not the right one for you, maybe I can find you somebody who is. Let's all help each other. Let's help ourselves. Let's give life a chance. Never, 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 never give up on life. Never, never, because you are here, because you are given the opportunity against tremendous odds to be here. So don't waste it. Use it to its fullest. Namaste. Stay strong and live your life.